How's it guys? Sunday afternoon. Thanks for checking in with me. Quick warning, these videos are going to be a little longer than usual, so make sure that you are comfortable and you've got something to drink. Yeah, so this last week you would have seen me made a couple of posts about reorganizing my tackle, and there's a few reasons for these, but there are two main ones that I think it's two, but bear with me. A couple of things I want to touch on as to why I've made that decision. So one of the top ones is I want to be more purposeful about my lure selection coming this next season, particularly before a particular venue. So to unpack that a little bit, I think most of us competing fishermen will, if we're honest, agree that it's very hard not to get into this flurry of, purchasing a bunch of lures before a tournament. So maybe you didn't get to pre-practice, let's say Zanin, because it's super far. It's 4.5-5 hour drive for Pretoria folk, maybe even a bit further for Joburg folk. So if you're like us, one, time and money are two big constraints. So it's not always possible, to get out to the venue and do a pre-fish. So what's the next thing that you do? You phone friends, you speak to people, you speak to guys in the fishing shops. What have they heard? And then you get into this flurry, like let's say maybe the Daimiki grub was the bomb lure a week ago at whatever comp it was. You need to have the specific color, and what do? We want to catch fish, we want to win, we want to place. You go and buy 4 or 5 packets of Daimiki grubs, and there you have them. And off you go to tournament day, you've got your Daimiki grubs ready and going, tied on. You're fishing, and nothing. Maybe 1 bite, maybe 2 bites, but it's not enough to go, hey, this is definitely the bomb of a lure right now for this tournament. It's happened to me more than the opposite. There has been very few times where someone has said to me, this lure is working, you have to have this lure in your arsenal when you go. Guys, I don't even think maybe ever that's happened, that I've had to have particular lure, particular color, and that's the only thing that works according to people. And then you come tournament day, nothing happens. So what you'll hear a lot of guys say, South Africa, America, wherever, they'll talk about fish your confidence baits. So we'll unpack that a little bit now, but the next reason why I'm really looking at tackle organization is I used to carry around these worm file bags, right? Brilliant product. I've had some of them for 20 years, some not so old. But yeah, I lived my whole fishing life with these bags, and it's super convenient whether you are or aren't a boat owner. So if you aren't a boat owner, it's easy just to pack up your life, chuck this into your buddy's boat, and off you go. If you are a boat owner, it's also super easy to chuck these in and take them out. When I had a boat, I never left anything in it. Everything came out after a tournament. So it's a habit I've had since forever. Okay, so those were the two big things. And then just to add to that is, Jared's boat isn't a super big boat. It's a small boat, so we have to be smart about the kind of weight that we carry and how much space we actually have, and be smart about how we utilize that space. So there are some of the reasons, probably the more important reasons, why I've decided to change the way I tackle my tackle storage. But yeah, a big thing is just to be purposeful about the lures that I take with me to a dam. Okay, so all of us know, if you've got a boat, or not even, you're a bank angler, you pack your car full of everything, just in case if this happens. Lure, sheesh, I'm guilty of it. I take a lot of just in cases, just in case things change or things get rough, and maybe that lure is going to be the lure that's on fire. But more often than not, that is not the case. It's not a thing of that is the only lure that's working. I've never been in a tournament where there is a specific lure that everyone's using and that's the only thing that's catching fish. So yeah, just with that in mind, this is going to be a series of videos of what I carry, the brands I carry, the colors that I use, and then I will try and just incorporate 2 or 3 different ways to fish those particular lures. All right, so the first one that I'm going to chat to is this big old box here, Flukes. Okay, so it's a little fish type style bait. Looks like this, comes in a variety of colors. There are many brands in South Africa. You can buy your own mold, make your own. You know, if you're a passionate hobbyist and that's something that you want to do, you can also do. What's great about that is you can mix your own colors. But when it comes to Flukes, I'm a firm believer that there are a handful that are really, really good. Many people try to replicate the Zoom Fluke, but they just don't. Some people might just say one and all is the same. I'm not one of those people. So I have a lot of Zoom Flukes. Most of them are Zoom with one or two other brands, and there's a reason why I have those brands. I'll explain to you why. But as you can see, again, most of them are Zoom. Okay, and there's, again, a question is, there are so many colors, you don't know which color to choose, which comes down to, a lot of it is the venue. So what other fish is in that venue that the Fluke can replicate, make it look similar to, time of the season, water clarity. So there's lots of things that play this, and those are subjects that we can also unpack. But in my arsenal, I have some steadfast colors, and you can start from back to end on mine. We'll take out the first one, black. It's just plain black. It works a lot. I'll always have Zoom plain black. That's my last one, so I know I need to stock up on that. Another very versatile one is watermelon seed. I'm sure all of you know what that look like. Okay, next one, green pumpkin. Very versatile color as well. A little bit darker than the watermelon. Slightly more browner, whereas the watermelon's a bit more greener, but I don't think I need to unpack that in color for you. This is the salty super fluke, right? The normal standard fluke. South Africa special. Guys, this color, I love this color. I have this color in a variety of lures. I don't know why, it just works. I think it's got to do a bit with the red and the silver, considering the bait fish that we have in our dams within South Africa. Okay, here's another South African special. Then green pumpkin magic is another one. It's a fantastic color. I don't know why, I like them. This one is actually one of them, and it's the only one that worked for me at Tsunid when we fish at Tsunid. Other than that, I've got a couple of other colors here. A good one is white. It's a great reaction bait, lacquer to use as a top water. Green pumpkin candy, watermelon candy, sprayed grass. Then there's a crystal clear. I probably had this packet, guys. They're actually yellow. That's how long I had them, and you'll know because they were still 66 Rand at Mia. So there's lures here that I've had for a really long time. Some of them are great for clearer water, some of them are better for stained water. But yeah, the staples. Okay, for me, watermelon, green pumpkin, South Africa special. What I haven't showed you is June bug, and white, black, and then black and red. Okay, so 7 that are I'll always have. I don't have black and red because I finished them up at a tournament earlier this year and I haven't replaced them yet. Okay, but to me, Zoom, best fluke lure that there is. Many brands try and replicate it. The shape may be the same or whatever, but the presentation, for me, I'm 100% convinced is different. If I cannot find Zoom, I will divert to Cullum. If not Cullum, McCarthy baits. More often than not, McCarthy. Okay, then you saw that there were 2 other brands in here. The other one is Z-Man. Okay, also, this is watermelon and green pumpkin. The reason why I have these is they're lighter. They have a less salt content than what Zoom does. So, when you've cast it, let's say in a mojo rig, you know, the weight is down here, the lure's up here. The time it sort of sinks to come down is a lot slower than where a Zoom with the salt, because the salt makes it heavy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You've got to, you know, fiddle around and see what's happening. But great lures, and also, as everyone knows, and if you don't know, with Z-Man, they just last a lot longer. The durability is great. You can catch like 30 fish on one before it starts looking a little ragged. So also great value for money. Yes, they're a bit more expensive, but also know that you're going to use that lure for a whole day without basically having to change it. Whereas with the Zoom, as much as I love them, you might be able to get 2 fish off of one, maybe 3. Okay, just depending how hard you strike and all of that jazz. There's another brand here called Bitters. I've just discovered these. Apparently they've been around for years and years and years. Great fluke style bait, also similar shape to Zoom. They're just a lot softer, and they're made with pork fat, which I think can add a bit of a difference. And then there's these Strike Kings. You don't get them often anymore. They are like floats, also made with elastic like Z-Man, but proper floating. Like it takes a lot to really get it to sink down. So these are great when you're fishing thick mats of grass and there's just those little spots of open. You're twitching it across the grass. When you get to that open spot, you let it sink. So little secret, you don't get them often, but there you go. Okay, so I've unpacked my Fluke secret box. As I've said, there are a handful of colors that I have a lot of because they're my confidence baits. Okay, let me just add this to you. When I was fishing as a junior, I hated a fluke. I couldn't get a bite on a fluke for love of money, and everybody was beating me 6 love on these things. I'd be on the boat fishing with someone else, killer on a fluke, catching, and I short bite, or I just couldn't land the things. So I think there's 2 ways you treat that scenario. You either go stuff the fluke, you put it in the back of your cupboard, or you sell everything that you have, or the other option is, and that's what I did, I spent a whole year and all I did was fish a fluke. That's it, nothing else. Promise you, I'd go to the banks of public spaces and whatever. I'd take 4 or 5 different colors, but this is the only lure that I fished. If you blank, you blank. Okay, if you miss a bite, it's a lesson. Try and unpack what happened in that scenario, and when you get a fish, again, unpack what you did in that scenario. It's very important to take those little lessons with you all the time. So those scenarios will happen again in life, or you possibly blanking and you can go think back to what's in your memory and go, maybe I should try this way, maybe I should try that way. So yeah, every blank or bite that you have, it's a lesson, and it's really important to try and keep track of those. And we didn't have technology like we had today. My dad used to carry around a little book and would write down who was at what spot and who said they caught this and that and what they caught on, and break that whole scenario down. So when it comes to, especially if you're tournament fishing next year, you're fishing that venue, similar time of the year, similar weather conditions, you already know, you've got some history to go back to and have a look at what played out for that tournament. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of ways you can fish the fluke. Alright, so one of them is weightless, literally tied on with a hook. So the hook that I use is, I basically use 2 brands, Gamogatsu or Mustard. I'm not lying, here's my tackle box, it goes on the boat with me. You can have a look. There's Mustard and Gamogatsu. It's the 2 brands. Gamogatsu I've fished all my life. It's just a brand that I have faith in. I've never pulled a hook straight or broken a hook or anything like that with Gamogatsu. Some other brands, absolutely. So the first thing that you need to know about these hooks is you literally get 2 different, almost weight sizes, but what makes one heavier than the other is the actual size of the wire. So there's the thicker one and there's the thinner one. Alright, so if you are fishing absolutely weightless and you just want a little bit of extra weight, you take the thicker wire. Okay, this is a 3/0. Again, I'll fish it if I'm fishing weightless. 1 or 2, I'm fishing in like serious structure, especially like in the Zim waters, Botswana waters, where there's these trophy fish. Very important. You will hardly find me fishing these thinner wired hooks. Alright, I like to use a wide gap. It's just what I've been taught basically. I have cheated if I quickly need to put another lure on and that particular rod only has a a normal worm hook on, hey, I put it on the normal worm hook. I can't honestly say that one catches better than the other. I haven't tested it to that extreme. It's just because I always generally have this on. But if I quickly just want to change up without retying the whole rig, and there's a normal worm hook on there, I've used it, I've caught fish. Same to me. Okay, cool. So standard for me is 3.0. If you are fishing and you are short biting, so they're biting but you're not necessarily getting the hook up, try and upgrade your hook size. If you've got a 4.0, go to 4.0, see what changes. Also, if they're short biting, remember just to give it a bit more time. If you feel the bite, dunk, dunk, count 1, 2, 3, tighten, reel up that slack and then strike, instead of just striking the minute you feel that that tap on the line. All right, cool. But anyway, let's chat to rigging these up. I've done it before, but let me do it again in case there's some new people. So the hook is literally your best teacher to putting on a lure. I don't know the technical parts, all of it, even though I've been fishing for so long, but you're going to use the point here as your guide as to how far you stick it in to the nose of the fluke. Okay, so you're gonna slide it in as dead center as you can. Okay, it looks like that now. Right, this is not the way it's got to look. Now you're going to pull it through. Okay, and so it will then look like that. You're going to slide the nose all the way to the eye. Okay. Now what I like to do is I physically like to pull it over the knot of the line. It just protects it a little bit. So it now looks like that. Still separate from the hook. Okay. As you know, a fluke's got these little flaps, so you're going to put the hook in the belly of the fluke. Okay, again, the point's going to be your guide. So at this turn is where you want to enter the hook, so you pull it forward a bit. Okay, you want to try and get it as dead center as you can in the middle of the fluke. Okay, there's the point. I don't know if you can really see it. Not really, but it's there, it's popping out. You're going to push it through. Okay, there's the point of the hook. Now what I like to do is just scooch it back a little bit and put that point inside the back of the fluke. Alright, so it's sitting looking like that. You want to get it as straight as possible so it's not funny and kinked out and whatever. Okay, rig that way. Now when you put the point in the back of the fluke, what it does is it helps it just be a little bit weedless. As you can see, I'm not hooking my finger, it's not pricking it. Take a piece of plastic, it's not getting stuck on there. Okay, so it just makes it a little bit weedless. It's great when the fish bites that it's not the first thing that they feel. There is a bit of plastic to work through, understandably so. Okay, so that's tying it onto the hook. It would be the same with a normal worm hook. So the different styles or rigs that I like to use is a Texas. This is a teeny tiny little Texas. I prefer using these. Obviously it works when there isn't a great deal of wind, but yeah, I use lead, don't shoot me. Tungsten is just super expensive, and when budget is on the top of your list, guys, use the resources that you can. Okay, so it's just a case of, there's a little bit of line on here, I don't know if you can see. It's just a case of feeding the line through the belly of the weight, tip to the top. Okay, so it looks like that, super light. There's two ways you can peg it, so you can use the little rubber stoppers that you buy at the shops, or budget, you can just use a toothpick. That was old school. Before we had rubbers, you just use a toothpick, you pegged it in there, and Bob was your uncle. Okay, but I like to leave mine loose, and there's a reason for this. If you're fishing structure, this is the first thing that comes through it, right? So if it comes through, it falls down the line, but it's pulling this lure with it, and as you're coming through the structure, it creates a bit of extra movement to it. Okay, that's the first one. So we've been through weightless and we've been through Texas. Obviously you can, and you should be, upgrading your weight size when needed. You're fishing deeper water, you're fishing thicker structure, obviously you can upsize your Texas weight. That's a really big one, and then there's even a super super size one. All right, those are half ounce, half ounce ones. Okay, cool. So that's Texas weight. Everyone pretty much knows that. And then another favorite is a Mojo weight. So it's a case of, I don't have enough line with me, but you'll feed it on the line. You're going to peg it at a point in the line, and then your lure is sort of going to sit up here. Great finesse style, great all-rounder style of fishing. This was the only finesse when I was fishing as a junior. This and weightless, there was no drop shot and Ned rig and those kind of things. So there are 3 ways that you can rig that fluke: weightless, Texas, Mojo, and many people will tell you can even do it not with the Zoom though, you know, with the Z-Man possibly and the Z2 brand on a net rig, because it would stand up like this, right? So 3 ways to rig it. Step 1 of how I'm unpacking and why I'm unpacking, and purposeful tackle planning, and going through flukes, and which I think are the better. So I hope it's been helpful to you. Drop your comments in the feedback, or drop your feedback in the comment section really, and if you have any questions, please do reach out. I'm happy to answer what I can. And yeah, if share your experience and your difference of opinion with me. Thanks for checking in. Have a good afternoon.